Yes, guys, welcome back to the Natural Muscle Podcast. Today's episode, we are going to cover the BNBF finals and the DFAC Grand Prix. First time having this back. Obviously missed last year. And yeah, definitely come back with a bang, especially the caliber of athletes we had there. Noticed as well, solo one this week. Me and Finn just haven't been able to align this week. And I'm having to do this like after work. But yeah, so I was actually at the show as well, so a bit more of a insight to how things actually played out on the day. And yeah, it was a spectacle of a show. Great standard as expected with BNBF finals. Only one sword for the overall male and the overall female. And yeah, I mean the overall male definitely needs no introduction. Is been at it almost a decade, I think, in the amateur ranks in natural bodybuilding. Been very close a couple of times. But yeah, just kept chipping away. And definitely his best luck today. Heaps of muscle, and Theo's one athlete that pictures don't do him justice to how heavily muscled he actually is, but also probably up there against Monique, and she was an absolute freak who we'll get onto it in a short moment as well. But yeah, Theo just so heavily muscled, but when you see it in person, you're like, wow, that is a lot of muscle. And yeah, best I've personally seen him as well in terms of conditioning, fullness. No word was he could have been fuller. So it's just highlights how much muscle maturity Theo does possess in his locker. But yeah, overall, very, very good luck. And it was a well contested overall as well. But yeah, this is definitely, you look at this physique and you think, yeah, that is pro worthy, and rightly so. And it did well in the pro show afterwards, which we'll get onto after as well. But yeah, couldn't have happened to a happier guy. Always supportive, always happy, always chipping away, and yeah, that's exactly what you want. A great ambassador for the sport as well. So yeah, happy for Theo, the overall male, and newly crowned DFAC pro. And then our overall female, again, a well contested one. We had some very, very good athletes within the female ranks, particularly with the female bodybuilder. Female bodybuilding is definitely on the rise, and we're seeing it. And I know me and Finn have mentioned it throughout the season. But yeah, female bodybuilding, the category itself, but also the standard for our figure and athletic and so on. And it was exactly the same here as well. But Monique was definitely a standout. Her structure, muscularity and condition just absolutely nailed it. Phenomenal athlete. I know she reached out to us and sent us an email. She doesn't use socials, but sent us an email saying she's an avid listener of the podcast. Appreciates what we're doing. So yeah, appreciate that, Monique. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Like what rear light, rear double was just super impressive. And quite a standout, which is fair to say within her category. I mean, standing next to Theo there and not looking super over muscled. I mean, that's just yeah, that just highlights the muscularity and the standard of athlete we have there. And then moving on to the Pro Grand Prix. So after winning his pro card, Theo went and stepped in into the pro lineup as well. And one thing to mention with the BNBF is the previous winners, the kind of like the passing of the sword. Is something they do. So last year's winner, overall male and overall female, passed the sword over to the new athlete, the new pro. And I think it's just a nice touch to have. Just kind of like passing that ownership onto the kind of like into the new ranks, so to speak. And then for them, it's just a case of competing with the pros. And Theo didn't waste his time on doing that, as we mentioned. But then in this class, we had Robert Thompson, like in terms of quad detail, quad separation, feathering, I've personally never seen anything like this. Like it's just blowing your mind. I mean the pictures it stands out here, but actually seeing this in person. So for those of you that were there, that still there at this time, you definitely agree with me. You're like, wow, that is silly. Even athletes like sitting like pumping up backstage and being like, what is that? Absolute freak factor, but also like a beautiful shape to him as well. Good muscularity, tiny waist. Our DFAC world champion of last year. I know he's going for it again this year. But yeah, great athlete, poses very, very well. So professional how he kind of like holds himself up on stage as well. But yeah, very, very good, like a good top three within this class. Theo taking a top three in his first placing, in his first pro show, sorry. And then top two, we had Chris McCrea, commonly known as Keith West, as most of you probably know him, from his ridiculous strength and yeah, huge muscularity, probably more heavily muscled, particularly in the quads than Robert. I know the judges were saying it's kind of like an apple versus oranges thing. But yeah, in terms of like freak factor, possessing like everything together, I think yeah, Robert was edging it for me, but you not really argue too much if you think he went the other way as well. And bodybuilding it is subjective, so it depends what judging panel you have at the end of the day. But yeah, great top three here. And within this class, we also had Danty Edwards. He's just narrowly missing out on the top three there, but nailed a great look. Also coming back from his first set show in the pro show, obviously the week prior to this, he won his pro card in Dubai, so has to compete as a pro now. But definitely would have been up there with obviously taking the junior title. And yeah, forgetting that an athlete like this, 22, and not looking out of place in a very, very good pro lineup. What a great way to wrap the season off for him. But yeah, managing to repeat back to back after like flying over from Dubai. I'm sure it's not an easy thing to do, but him and AJ nailed it. Great look. And then we've also got Christian Gustella, newly crowned Masters Pro. So yeah, he nailed a good look in a very good Masters lineup as well, which we'll get onto later on. And then Mick Battersby in sixth. He is also doing Worlds as a Masters athlete as well, and brought very, very good luck there as well. But yeah, it was definitely a great to see a very, very good high standard of athletes at a pro show. Obviously, we didn't get to see that last year. Unfortunately, I think it was just Michael Perrin who actually entered the show, but put on a very, very good routine for us all anyway. And that's expected, like as a BNBF do with the lighting and so on. But then yeah, moving through onto the bodybuilding classes, and it's no shock horror here that best wheels of the day goes to Dan Sutcliffe. Other than I think conditioning wise with Robert in the pro ranks, Dan's legs are just so it's something else. Think he's another athlete that's good at knocking on the door for that kind of like pro status as well. Being interesting to see what kind of like how it fell for the judges in the overall. But yeah, Theo was definitely up there just for me, obviously taking the win on the day. But yeah, quads, size, detail, everything, great taper on him, and rightly so. But also, as you see in the back, Rupinder, like great set of pins on him, but like Dan's it just even more freaky, which is wild. So super impressive to see, and just so much muscularity there. And then our overall Theo Golaub in there. So then we're moving through onto heavyweights. And the heavyweight class, as expected, probably the most heavily muscle class with some of the athletes. I think overall, yeah, good top five. Theo, quite a actually say with Darren when he came out, Darren was looking like he was up there in a couple of shots. We feel like, oh, maybe could like push him there, but Theo stood through, shone through out of this class. Rightly so, with so much stage experience, muscularity, maturity, not just as muscle maturity, but maturity coming on. As an individual, and as an athlete, and shone through there. And yeah, front light just looks very, very good. But yeah, I think Will Davies in third looks, yeah, very good, particularly in the upper. Not quite very sharp as well. I think in the lower half, not quite as heavily muscled as some of the other athletes. But yeah, I think nonetheless, like a very, very good look. And definitely can like a coming back with an off season, whatever, definitely pushing to climb the ranks in the within the heavyweight class. And then Stephen Reed in fourth place. Again, good, particularly through in the upper legs, not quite as big as the some of the other athletes. But then you've even got like likes of Thomas Wilke in fifth place. Heaps of muscle, like very, very heavily muscled, just not as conditioned as the other athletes, which is fair to say. But yeah, brought gratefulness and rounding up a very good top five here. Very good to see, to be honest. But I think yeah, with Theo kind of stood out from this lineup, and you're like, yeah, he's going to be up there for the for the overall. But like this towards the latter end of the show, well, the last class of the day. And you've got a couple of athletes thinking, all right, yeah, maybe he's going to be pushing as well. So it's always worth sticking around, even if the longer days, like, and seeing the best of the best up for the overall. So that's what we want to see at the end of the day. Moving through to the middleweight class, and yeah, Anthony Campbell Jr., an athlete we've seen throughout the season. After coming back from a 2021, he is novice year. But yeah, another one with shape wise, his silhouette is fantastic. Some like shape, flow, some of his posing just very awesome. But yeah, very, very good athlete. And this was a very good class as well. Particularly the top three. Top three standard was very good. Which fair to say, I think just a step above fourth and fifth, which you were great athletes. Junaid, super long season for Junaid. But yeah, still coming in, looking fantastic, and he'll take a huge win for this. It's his first British finals, coming home with a fifth place in after competing back in May this year. So like extending it through, it's yeah, they've managed it well. And then Daniel in fourth place. Yeah, great athlete, heaps of muscle. Just yeah, up against three very, very high caliber athletes. Very, very high caliber. We saw it this show as well. A couple of Italians in this show. Believe their kind of federation doesn't have a qualifier coming through, so we had a lot come over within a couple of the classes, and they all brought very, very good luck. So it's great to see that bodybuilding is growing, not just within the UK, but the rest of Europe as well. So top three, we had Alfredo. Like I say, just yeah, top head to toe, heavily muscled. Say very, very balanced. Not as big like as James. James, you just heaps muscle, a lot wider. But yeah, condition through on Alfredo, good. Little bit more, say, compact. But yeah, I think this was a super good look for him as well. And then James, another good look. Just yeah, up against Anthony Campbell Jr. Like his condition is there, quad details just even sharper, smaller waist. To the back, he's super sharp. His taper's really good, but also like in terms of like glutes, separation, everything. It was very impressive to see, particular in person. So yeah, I think rounding up a very good class, and yeah, as going through the show, you're thinking, you know what, Anthony could be up there with pushing for the overall. And then mention another one here. It's also funny with the capitals on the lightweight going through this because yeah, super heavily muscled for a shorter guy. Doesn't need much introduction. Dan Sutcliffe, obviously. Done Europeans back in 2021. Believe he won or came second in Europeans in 2021. I'm sure Finn will correct me or one of you in the comments anyway. But yeah, awesome. Probably the best I've seen Dan yet. And I know he's got sharper since this for his upcoming shows. And he's got European ones to come. So yeah, he very excited to see. I think he took a couple of pounds off from this since, where he was like super sharp and he knows he could be sharper from that. I know he left a little bit in the tank for upcoming shows and stuff, which is expected as a natural athlete when you've got a long season behind you. But yeah, this was, I mean, it's crazy to say within this top 5 that all these are lightweights, because yeah, again, very heavily muscle class. Some great athletes in there. We even got Julian Silberg coming 5th, just after winning his WNBF Pro card. I think the weekend prior, yes, same show as Steve Hall, I think the WNBF Netherlands. And then going through to Ismail in 4th place. Big improvements from Ismail, particularly in his off season. I believe he did men's physique a couple of years ago. So yeah, huge improvements, like climbing up the ranks and being up there and placing within the top 5 in a well contested lightweight class as well. Alex Stang, I think he's made huge improvements. Super sharp, thick, heavily muscled. Yeah, definitely landed a great look, and I'm sure he was in with a top 3 with the standard there, and especially because there's some great athletes who are missing out in this top 5. Like I mentioned, likes of Chris Edge. It just goes to show the standard that's up there. Yeah, very good. And then Ethan Kavanagh coming 2nd. Like I say, in terms of if you want to look at a bodybuilding silhouette, what you'd create, I'm sure it wouldn't be far off Ethan's physique. So yeah, that shape and structure definitely carries him very well, but also got the muscularity and great condition to boot with it. And I'm sure he will keep impressing and keep getting some top spots as his season progresses. Likewise with Dan there as well. All up there with all 5 of these athletes got great quads, but Dan's are just an absolute standout here. And rightly so. That's why he's taking home best wheels on the day. And then we go through to our overall female, Monique Collman, and yeah, shape, structure. She had it. She ticked all the boxes for that as well. A little bit of a shame for in this shot she's not fully in the pose to actually highlight that, but particularly I think our back was absolutely standout. But yeah, very good top 4 for the within figure. I believe so coming through. Yeah, so some good athletes and a good top 4 for figure. But Monique was just a standout there. Louise, like great athlete there. I think she got super sharper and took a win at the WNBF at the weekend just gone as well. So yeah, Louise, great athlete, but then sometimes you just stand up against people who are just absolutely phenomenal, and there's nothing you can do but bring your best on the day. Paige, good amount of muscularity, just not as sharp as the other girls. And then Sasha Davy, probably a bit more of a flip. Good condition, particularly in the lower half, and her back poses sharp, just not as heavily muscled as the other. The top 3 there, but I'm sure with an off season definitely can grow and do well within this class. And there's also Miss Athletic, which kind of like favors the conditioning, so I'm sure it's something you can discuss before moving ahead into coming back and doing the BNBF again. So classic bodybuilding. This was Odoneo, and yeah, super happy for him. It's chipped away. It's one we've mentioned, right? If he could get sharper, he could walk away with the British title, and that's what he's done. He couldn't hold his emotions through for this shot as well. But yeah, super happy for him. Very a win in a very good class as well. Classic bodybuilding is growing heavily. And also to beat the likes of Mark Willits, who is a former British champion in UK DFAC. But yeah, it just highlights like how good Odonai was on the day, and how him and his coach like improved and nailed a great look, and yeah, rightly so, being the classic bodybuilder British champion of 2024. But yeah, great class this. I think in terms of like, I don't know, his shape, structure and conditioning like that together with his posing, I think that's what kind of like picked him and got him the win on the day. Mark's someone who can pose very, very well, holds his pose as well. Obviously we've had him on the pod before, like previous breakdancing. So yeah, in terms of like putting a performance on, yeah, he always does that within his routines. So that's very good to see. And then in third place, I think we had with James. James was one of the heavier muscled guys within the class. Just not fully as crisp or as sharp as some of the other athletes. But I know it's one class that it's not solely on condition. It's shape and structure that carries. But if someone's still up and about with that, I know they can definitely be there. But you've got to be at a level where conditioning wise can show the attributes you have, and also if you for some athletes, and I'll get onto this shortly, if they were slightly sharper, it would just highlight well how classic they actually are, due to looking as if they have a smaller waist, separation showing more, and so on. Nicola Beretta, he's an athlete very, in terms of like straight shape and structure, probably up there with one of the most classics from a structure. Just not quite as sharp and a bit wider through in the waist. But in terms of his overall flow was, yeah, posed very, very well, held his pose as well, and had that great structure for it. And I think Simeon in fifth place, like, he had all the tools, and actually hit this rear twist in double very nicely. I'm not personally the biggest fan of this shot, but I can appreciate when someone hits it well. But had all the tools there, just not as sharp as the other athletes. And I think if he were, he'd definitely be pushing for a top 3 spot there. So if your season's continuing, Simeon, just dig a little bit deeper, because you can definitely be highly rewarded for that. Then through over to men's athletic, Adib Noor, someone who's been competing within this class for a number of years now, and yeah, always kind of brings exactly what you expect and what you want for kind of a men's athletic. He's also one where you kind of look at and think, yeah, that's kind of the face of men's athletic. Great condition, great midsection, not the most heavily muscled, but like he's definitely come on like quite a lot in terms of his muscularity, but having that great kind of like beach body kind of style look, if you want to call it. And yeah, rightly so, taking the win on the day. But yeah, hitting a side chest there, it's definitely up there if he wants to move into the bodybuilding classes, which I know some athletes have done. So yeah, it's definitely there for a lot of them. Christian Hawkins in second place. I know he was waiting for the pod to come out, and I think he was, yeah, from his response, he was definitely over the moon with taking second place in a very, very good class, and great improvements from his previous years. So yeah, very good to see. Renell Scarlett, a great taper to his physique. I think he'd be one who'd be very good in the bodybuilding class in terms of like his structure and muscularity as well. But yeah, be excited to see what's to come of Runel. Like I say, as we mentioned, time after time, a little bit sharper. And yeah, he could have climbed a spot or two there. Then Chris O'Brien in fourth place, David Swinback in fifth, and Daniel Biofe in sixth place from Italy. I think David, yeah, keeps a muscle on him. Not sure if he actually got tan. Just he definitely needs to be darker next time anyway. And yeah, Chris, I think yeah, looks good. Had posed some good muscularity in the upper. Just up against a very good top three. And Miss Athletic, over from Italy, I believe, Ilaria. Super impressive condition. The photos don't highlight this, and this was a class that was. This was probably one of them the female classes of the day in terms of number of athletes and the standard of athletes across the board within it. With some great athletes missing out on some top spots, just due to the sheer standard of the class as well. But yeah, like conditioning wise, the midsection was super tight, back was tight, glute hamstring tying. You can even see from the shot here as well, like separation up all the way towards the hip. That's what you're looking for from Miss Athletic. And yeah, overall great, like top five here. Ali Ross Willits coming in fourth place, future British champion. Great physique and put on a huge amount of muscle as well. But for the likes of an athlete like that coming in fourth place just highlights the standard that was there at the show. And Olivia Wallace in fifth place. Another solid competitor, solid athlete. But yeah, up against it in front of her was a solid top four of competitors there. Shape, structure, flow. I think conditioning wise, the top three were just slightly ahead, in comparison to fourth and fifth, particularly fifth. But yeah, Daniela in third place. I think yeah, great structure for it. Quads probably up there with some of the biggest out of the mix of these girls on the day. But muscularity from the upper, when compared with the likes of Jessica, who we've seen compete beforehand, who's yeah just seems to improve show to show, which is great to see. I think she looked a lot fuller this show as well, but still carried very granite-like condition. But yeah, just not as sharp as the winner, Laria. Very good look for her. And yeah, I think this was one where you saw that condition being there in person. You think, yeah, it's going to be very hard to beat on the day. Likewise with novice winner, Rupinder, on the Natty Roo, as he goes by on his Instagram handle. Yeah, another solid look through for Roo. I think this is probably the his kind of fullest he's looked throughout the season. Quads, upper, look bursting full, to be fair. Super big, but like that front double bicep, super impressive. Like tiny waist, huge arms, wide shoulders. Just sat on his legs really nice. It's just a very good look. And this was a great standard for novice. In the top five as well, like across the board, some phenomenal athletes and some future stars. And with the novice class, it's one that's growing, but also the standard of that's growing as well. Usually you see like the top three and be up there and think very good now. It's the top five that are awesome, and there's some great athletes missing out on the top five with some great physiques as well. But yeah, James Tostevin in fifth looked great. Like quite very balanced as well, I think. Good condition, good fullness there, great look. just up against some great athletes up ahead of you. Likes of Chris Edwards, probably one of his best looks throughout the season. But it doesn't necessarily cross transfer in terms of placings, but that's just the way it is sometimes when you're at the a great standard like you're going to be at the BNBF British finals. Sometimes you could bring your absolute best and you're not going to get the top placing just because he's simply better athletes up ahead of you. And that's great. Like, accept that and use it as motivation and work towards it. Nicholas in third place, super impressive. Great, particularly in the quads. But then up against Charlie Cuthbert and Rupinder with arguably some of the biggest quads up on the stage on the day. Super good battles. Seeing these two battle it out for the top two. But yeah, I think Ru just pips him up on the day. Sharper, just overall, and I think just that taper as well to him, super impressive. But I think, yeah, Charlie's come on heaps and bounds throughout this season and continues to improve, which is super impressive to see. It's particular for a lad who's just stepped out of the juniors as well. Then another standout on the day, women's bodybuilding, Rebecca Starr. Super, probably in terms of an amateur, best amateur bodybuilder, probably, if not second best amateur bodybuilder I've seen. Seeing that in person, also just seeing how like someone super passionate and just look like they're really enjoying themselves up on stage as well. Like Rebecca did, like phenomenal to see. Heavily muscled, great conditioning, bang on for the class as well. Which I know sometimes with a lot of like women's classes, they can kind of be in between a couple of classes, or they're not rightly suited for a particular class. But yeah, Rebecca, definitely a bodybuilder. Heavily muscled, good condition, good shape to her. Yeah, holds a pose as well. Looks definitely someone who trains hard in the gym and trains heavy in the gym as well. But this women's bodybuilding, like, it is, this class, it is growing. Like, there's some great bodybuilders in there. Like, and this is a weird one as well because, and it can happen. It just shows, depends on who you're up there with at the end of the day. Because Ali Ross Willett's coming in third in this class, higher than she did in Miss Athletic. But even though this side leg and this side chest is phenomenal, definitely think she's currently better in terms of Miss Athletic, but she's just my opinion. So take it whatever way you want. I'm not on the judges' table at the end of the day either. So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, we're great top three here. Like Serena was very heavily muscled. Another one. All five of these look to just absolutely love it up on stage, which is great to see. Definitely heading in the right direction for natural bodybuilding. But yeah, top five with loads of muscle, all look great in these shots. And look at the side legs, and I think like that's it's my glaring weakness. And it's like, look at these, and I'm like, right, okay, definitely gives me motivation to put in the work in, because these girls aren't messing around with the side leg shots, the hamstring training, and the training from the rear. But yeah, super impressive. Jessica also looks epic within bodybuilding in specific poses and stuff. But definitely think she's more, obviously, more Miss Athletic. And then Megan Codlin, who needs no introduction. She's super heavily muscled. Just not to the condition as all four of the people in this photograph, but particularly like Rebecca Starr, like just an absolute standout in that conditioning there. Upper body, delta striations. Ali was sharp as well. So was Jess, but yeah, Rebecca just carried a different hardness and graininess to her physique, which is just that muscularity and that muscular maturity, really. But yeah, super impressive to see. Super impressive to see women's bodybuilding growing and the excitement that the all 5 of these athletes had when they stepped foot on stage within that class. They all looked to have a blast, which is great. And then junior winner, Nicholas Arnold. Good luck, and I think it's fair to say that junior is a little bit shyer than it has been in previous years. I think more of a standout with it has been, I think, so many of these people now when they're first stepping on stage, it used to be as juniors, now it's just teens, and the teens is just like growing and like just some freaky teens, and you're like, I think that's probably kind of overshone the juniors a little bit, but nevertheless, he good winner with Nicholas Arnold taking the top spot on the day. Jack Fisher narrowly missing out. Good physique on the guy as well. I think in terms of the overall frame and structure of Nicholas was just a bit more overpowering, but if he brought a couple of pounds off, a little bit sharper, Jack could definitely be pushing for that top spot. And then Dominic Flint, great shape and structure to him. Yeah, again, sharpens it up and definitely be pushing there. And Alessandro, I think he had very well balanced. Looked very full, just not as sharp as the other athletes on the day. But yeah, I think he had a great structure and great physique as well. So would not surprise me if he moves up a couple of spots if he comes back, if he's still within the junior ranks. And then one of the standouts and one of the standout classes, really, like teens, a number of athletes win that, which is great to see. I know years ago it had high number of athletes, but this post in particular for William Richardson, like it's super impressive lat spread, tiny waist, huge legs, just big arms, big like big delts, just look super developed for a teenager. Like even as a junior, to be like, what the hell, like that's super impressive. But yeah, for a teen, like super impressive, and him taking another win at WNBF the weekend in another good class, which we'll get onto. And within this class, like it was a very top 5 great athletes, particularly of looking at these and knowing they're all teens, they all have different attributes, all brought different kind of strengths to stage, which I'm sure will grow and develop even more as they go throughout the careers. But yeah, it just made for a great show, and even there was some strong teams outside this top 5. So just to make it to the top 5 and the standard that they brought, I think they actually give all, I'm sure they actually give all 5 of these teen athletes invites to Worlds just to show that the actual standard of this teen class, because they're all up there with pushing in for it. I know some of them have longer seasons than others and be fatigued and so on there, but yeah, all 5 of these athletes would definitely make for a very good a good Worlds appearance for sure. But yeah, William, just the most heavily muscled out of all 5 of them. Brown and Poole, I think in terms of structure, condition, that's super granite hard condition, absolutely nailed it. Improved even more since the Northern. But I thought this was a super wicked look, and wouldn't be surprised if he had a couple of votes for his name as well. But in terms of muscularity wise, you look at William and he's just literally twice the size, which is fair to say. Leon Emanuel, great shape, great structure, fantastic poser as well. Couple of years on his frame, of building on his frame, he will be a very, very good junior. I'm sure of it. Another one like his brother, loves competing as well, loves the sport. So yeah, it's awesome to see his carry through and put a lot of time into his stage presence as well, which a lot of these, particularly these teen athletes, have done. Matthew Edgerton, Matt, super sharp, probably his sharpest look of the season so far, which is very impressive to see. But yeah, taller athlete, so it takes more time filling out his frame. But yeah, got great legs on him. Split to the hip as well, which is awesome. And Dan Jones, taking a good 5th place, and breaking into this top 5, like I say, is an accomplishment in itself. because there are a number of great solid athletes who missed out on this top 5 spot. But yeah, Daniel, athlete who's conditioned well, just a little fatigued, as is I think he's mentioned now, throughout the season from multiple external factors, I believe. But yeah, solid, rounding off a solid top 5. Then we have his Masters figure, Tracy Hogg, and she looked delighted with the win on the day. And it was a very, very good. Well, there was some great athletes within the for Masters figure. With this class in particular, I think, yeah, so placing the top 4. But yeah, Tracy Hogg just stood out in terms of like a conditioning level through her. I think her and Victoria Beersworth were quite a step ahead in terms of condition and muscularity. I think Zoe in 3rd place, not quite as muscled in the upper as the likes of Victoria or Tracy, to be honest. But in terms of muscularity, like up top, like she held like a decent amount of muscle through up top. Shapely wise to her in particular poses, and held a pose as well, and just about pipped Bronwyn to that top 3 spot, and she looked delighted with that as well. But yeah, I think rounding off a decent standard here for the Masters figure. Then also our new DFAC Pro in the Masters. Look to be absolutely buzzing with this. Christian Grostella competes year after year, and actually improves year after year, which is great to see as well. But yeah, taking a win in a very good Masters over 40 class as well. Very, very strong. Particularly Anthony coming in 2nd place. I thought he could definitely be pushing in for that. So it'd be interesting to see how close it was between them two. But yeah, in terms of holding his poses, his overall stage presence, Christian was definitely up there with and being able to do that. But yeah, you look through at this top 5, and you're like, yeah, over 40. Carrying the muscularity very, very well. Edison, athlete there who is probably one of the most heavily muscled. If he could take a couple of pounds off that, it'd be super interesting to see, because he'd definitely be pushing both Anthony and Christian within that. Like his arms, very thick, super heavily muscled on the around the knee. But yeah, I thought Anthony was probably the best I've seen him throughout this season. I know he looked a little bit disappointed with taking that 2nd, but 2nd in a very, very good, strong class. And on a different day, maybe it could have gone another way. That's just bodybuilding. And then we've got James and Anise in 4th and 5th place. Anise, an athlete we see compete before. Still looking awesome, particularly lower body detail, quads, very, very good. I thought James, yeah, super sharp, taller athlete, but yeah, his conditioning was awesome. Held his poses very well. So yeah, rounded off a great class. And this was Dean Wilson in the over 50s. Super, super impressive to see an athlete over 50 years of age reach truly being peeled. He was super sharp, super, super sharp. Looked buzzing with his win as well. And another class with some good athletes in there. Some of these, great to see with the Masters, because they come back year after year, keep doing it, keep chipping away. Absolutely love it. Giving back to the sport as well. But most importantly, just enjoying the time up on there as well. But yeah, we had some heavily muscled athletes on there. Dean taking the top spot, Howard in 2nd, and then Barry in 3rd. Great abs on Barry as well. Like very, very good midsection. Like if I can hold, like aspire to hold that over 50, so very good. Swapnil in 5th. Quads definitely grown. Definitely the biggest I've seen him. I think I've seen him a little sharper before, but he's definitely grown. And then Milan in 6th place, and Paul Elliott in fourth, and we thought like, yeah, Paul's going to be the one who's going to be taking home this over 50s, but yeah, you come up against the likes of Dean and others. There's three people ahead. It just that's how good these BNBF finals are. And then another another one, super heavily muscled was Paul. In particular shots, his front lat and his front double bicep, super impressive. Like that rib cage holds very well for him. Um, it just looks to have a great taper in certain shots. Um, you see it probably over 60s category where the skin's a little looser and stuff, but I think in certain shots it just looks, yeah, could hold it very, very well. And made for a fantastic look. And yeah, rightly so, winning this class. But yeah, again, a lot of muscle still in this class over 60s. John Madura in second place. Very heavily muscled, good condition as well. I'd say arguably more condition than Paul. And you could probably argue that for Mick Shaw as well, maybe, and in his upper body anyway. In fourth place, but just not as shapely or well balanced as the likes of John and Paul. And then Jim Newton in third place. So like had a good balance of conditioning, muscularity, and fullness there. Then Steve Robbins in the over 70s. Bless him, came out probably most time was actually on his face rather than his body, but still with a physique with that much muscle over 70, it's definitely taking you to that top spot. Like his arms super thick, carrying it well, probably best I've seen for an over 70s, to be fair. So yeah, it's awesome to see. And then David Bryce, love it. He always brings the energy when he comes back. And William McCormick, some athletes you'll see time after time. And then Ted Clifton, our over 80s winner. Like this is just like phenomenal seeing someone over 80 up on stage, staying relatively well in shape, and just loving the time on there as well. And then Michael in second place. Super impressive to see. And this is what starts to show off. And it always starts to show off well and gets everyone up on the seat and moving. So yeah, great way to start things off and a great way to round this review off as well. So yeah, apologies on the delay with getting this out. Apologies for the lack of Finn. But yeah, we will get this up ASAP. And yeah, you can have a look through the review through from the weekend, and then we'll get on with the WNBF as soon as possible. But yeah, as always, we appreciate all the likes, shares, comments.